Hey, how's it going, guys? So, Mad Gamer had originally asked me how would you create a bridge. I asked him if he'd like a sliding bridge or if he'd want a bridge that snaps into place. He'd like a bridge that snaps into place, but I'm going to make a tutorial on how to do both, a sliding bridge and one that snaps into place. So, the first thing we're going to do is, I've already set up these blocks right here. In fact, let me go ahead and frame in on this. So, you can see that this has like these little, it has like this little indentation. The purpose of this is I want to be able to grab this and slide it forward, and once you slide all the way forward, it'll slam into that and it'll stop. In fact, let's just make sure that this isn't too wide. So I'll line that up right about there. So this way it has some, that may have been too much. Oh, well, screw it, it's just an example. So, the bridge is going to start here. The first thing we need to do is we actually need a rigid body attached to this because it's going to be it's going to have physics that are going to be messing with it. So let's go ahead and add a rigid body component real quick. And the first thing we want to do is we want to lock the rotation. We do not want it to rotate at all. The next thing we need to figure out is which direction it's moving. In this case, because the red arrow is pointing right here, this will tell me that the x-axis is the one we want to move. So we're actually going to check these two in the position so it can't go up or down, and it won't be able to go side to side. So it will only move on the x-axis, which is why I'm leaving that unchecked. Sorry about that. So the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that whenever we use the grav null, that it will actually have some kind of force that's acting upon it. So I'm just going to type in grav null. No, wait, it's not grav null. What is that called? I believe it's, let me just click on one of these tires. Oh, it is. Okay, SCRAPS grav null object. That's what it is. So let's go ahead and add this real quick. And we have it right here. So now the grav null object will interact with this. And we also need to do the same thing with this one, but I need to duplicate this first. In fact, something I'm going to do real quickly, I'm actually going to take all these objects, I'm going to put them inside of an empty game object. I'm going to call this one tutorial. Call it whatever you need to. But the purpose of this is because once I'm done building all these, I'm actually going to move it over here. Or actually, I'll just move it right here, right now. And this way it's a little easier for me to do, so I'm not having to fight it, you know, in the future or anything like that. So what I need to do right now is I actually need to duplicate this object, and I already have it going across like so. This one will be called bridge trigger. We're going to duplicate it again, and this one will be called bridge object. This one will be set inactive, and this one can stay as is. And basically the way I am doing this, oh wait, this one, because this one is a trigger, is what you'll actually need is let me see, where would that folder, was it simple setup, I think. Yeah, here we go. So we actually want to assign this material to it. And the reason for that is because if you remember whenever you did the forklift wheel, we actually used this shader right here, and so it made it transparent. You can create your own shader and you can make it as transparent as you want. You can make it green, less transparent, more transparent. You can make it red, orange. You can make it whatever color you want. This is your project. Give it your own personal touch. So we're going to get back to this tutorial. So the thing with this one is this is actually going to be a trigger. And so this is actually going to trigger, trying to think how to explain this. Whenever this object right here touches this, it's actually going to trigger this to turn on. And basically this right here will become inactive, and then this one will become active. And so that's basically what we're going to be doing, which is the exact same that on how you set up your forklift. For this one, we do need a rigid body component. So let's go ahead and add that in real quick. We're not going to freeze any of these. We're going to leave these alone. You can add more mass to it just to give it a little bit more realism if you want. That's completely up to you. But then the next thing we need is we need to add the grav null object again. And there we go. So the next thing we need to do is set up a script for object snapping. If we go and look at the forklift up here, we have the, which one was it? It wasn't the hubcaps. Pretty sure it wasn't the hubcaps. I'm trying to remember here. Okay, so it was actually object snapping. It was on the tire itself. So this is basically what we're going to be using. Because if we click on the front left tire is what we need. Do I not have a front? Okay, well, screw it. Let's see. No, those are for the hubcap. I'm trying to remember this, so I apologize, you guys. You'd think I'd remember this a little bit better, but I really don't. Give me 1 second to try and rack my brain, because it wasn't the right side. Let me go ahead and just frame in on this so I can see what I'm looking at. So this is the front tire trigger. This one has the object snapping attached to it, and this one has object snapping as well. So both of these are actually going to have the object snapping to them. So if I come down here, we just frame in on that. This one won't have it, because if we come and look for our spare tires, the only thing that this will have is going to be a snap script, because this will have to register something like that. We can go ahead and just add our snap script to this, and I'm going to do a little bit of code in here so you can see exactly what I'm doing, and I'll explain why I'm doing it. But for both of these will actually need the object snapping, and if we go back and double check our tires, now that I know which ones that they are, these are for the L tire, so you can see that right here it corresponds with itself. And if we come over here to the tire that we actually grabbed, these just have the snap object in it, duh. But then the trigger itself, see, the trigger itself will actually have the same as this will. So if we click on this, we're actually going to need the bridge object right here, and then we'll drag this one over here as well. Now, this is just regular object snapping, but is what I actually want to do. I want to create my own C# script. You can do this too, and I would actually recommend this. So I'm just going to call this bridge snapping, and I'm not going to go too much in depth with this right off the bat. I actually want to show you what happens if you play the game and you just use the object snapping script that you have. And this will also explain why you would also want to create your own script for it. There we go. Okay, so let me just go over here. I'm going to go to experiments, and I'm actually going to grab one of these. Oh, it helps if I don't click on the... There we go. So I'm just going to grab a tire, because why not? Now watch what happens when I snap this. So obviously you don't want that. That just don't make any sense. But also I can show you this too. So this right here is not working. So I obviously messed up somewhere on this, which shouldn't be too hard to fix. It's probably something really simple, but that's not a big deal. So I'm going to come back over here, and by the way, this one disappeared. Don't know why it disappeared, but it disappeared. So I'm just going to hit play real quick. I want to see what happens to this. So why did it do that? Let's try if it's convex. I don't think that's the issue, but you never know. Yep, that's what it is. Has to be convex. Okay, so now that that's fixed, let's look at this real quick. So we have the grav null that's attached to it, and we have it set as a rigid body, so could be. I don't know if that is the problem, that we have to have it set to convex or not. You'd think I'd remember, but I really don't. But either way, it's not a problem, because all we have to do is come back over here. There we go. So let's go ahead and verify that all this is working. There we go. And as you can see, it actually slides whenever you move it. Now, yeah, because that's normal. Let's go ahead and just increase the mass to 100. So let's see if it still slides. So we let go. Yep, there we go. Now, one thing that I would recommend, obviously you're not going to start at the bridge from up here. You'll have to actually like come back here and you know, kind of like push it that way. But this way you can see that it doesn't snap, and then the player can safely cross it. So the next thing we want to do is test this real quick, and it just snapped into place, so obviously that's working. So let's go ahead and look at, see what it would take to get the script working for it. Let's see, what did I call it? Bridge snap. Okay. So I'm going to open up bridge snapping. Let me just snap in there. And if you're wondering why this looks the way it does, it's because I'm actually using this script as my reference. And basically, we're going to create a public game object. And let's just call this one, well, I don't want to call it static object, but I guess it doesn't really matter. So, let's see, the next thing we need is an on trigger enter, so we'll just go ahead and type in void on, why is that not? Trigger enter. Now, you should have this popping up. The reason why I don't, because I've not checked these files out, but you shouldn't have it where it doesn't autofill like it's not doing for me. Collider, other, and by the way, this other, you can call it trig, you can call it poop, you can call it whatever you want. The only thing is, whatever you call it here M, I'm doing this for a reason, if here M dot game object dot, what was it? No, it was active in hierarchy. That's what it was. So, active in hierarchy is false. Then is what we will do is we'll check to see if here m dot wait, is it other? No. Is what's bad is I have the script open, but I'm not even looking over at it. I'm just trying to do all this from memory. So the object it needs is the something snap. That's what it was, and that is a wow. Total faith in you. Total faith. I do not want bridge snap. The reason why bridge snap popped up because of the fact that that file is quote unquote checked out. Yours, it should just be snap. So, we're actually going to do a null check for it. So, basically, is what this is saying. Why did I close the parentheses off there? Why would I do that? But basically, is what this is saying is, if the collider, which is called here M, that's why I had to put that there. If you were to change this to other, like it normally is stated, then this would have to be other as well. The static object right here is actually calling this game object up here. It's getting a component of a snap script. And so as long as there's a snap script attached to it, it'll work. But that's basically what it's looking at. The other way you can do this is, say, if other dot game object dot tag equals bridge, and I'll get into tags here in just a second. Then is what we want to do is we want to destroy other dot game object, if I can spell or type, whatever. The next thing we want to do is static object dot there we go. You have no idea how nice it is to have everything autocomplete. You don't realize how nice it is until it just no longer does it. And then for this game object, we're going to set it to false. So dot false. There we go. We're going to go ahead and save this script, and let's see how bad I butchered this. So I said that we're going to attach it to both of these. This is bridge snapping. We're going to remove the component of this one, and we actually have an error message. So the error message, there we go. That was an easy fix. Was it an easy fix? Namespace game object. Let's take a look at this real quick and see what it's saying. Oh, duh. Wow, so many errors. Okay. Now what? Namespace. I just saved it. Come on. Oh, it's saved. So why is it still throwing an error? Oh, because I didn't click on it, so therefore it didn't. There it goes. Now it going. Okie dokie, so that was fun. So for both of these, I'm just going to drag that. And you can do this if you simply click on the first one you need to do, hold down Control, select the second one. Since I know that both of these need this static object in it, or basically it's a public game object, you can just have both of them selected and drag them over here and then release the mouse. But here's the advantage of using a script, one that we just created. Oh wait, it won't work yet. One last thing I forgot to mention is this right here. We actually need to come up here to tag, add tag. We're going to add one called bridge. We're going to hit save. Come over here and we're going to tag this as bridge. So this way we don't need the snap script. In fact, I can just come over here and remove that completely. So the way that bridge is spelled up here for the tag has to be the exact same way that you have it spelled here. If this isn't snapping and you know you have it tagged, double check your spelling. So here's the advantage of doing it this way. Let me go ahead and wind up the game screen and you'll see exactly how it's all set up. Oh wait, I actually wanted to click here. So I'm going to grab this wheel. Look at that. It no longer snaps. So I'm just going to throw it out into space. Now I'm going to take this bridge and I'm going to snap it. Ew. Let's see. Null reference exception. Object not set to instance of an object. So let's go ahead and take a look at this code right here. So let me go ahead and come back in here. Oops. So I don't see where any other errors are popping up. So it's probably something very, very simple. Couldn't imagine what it is. It's probably something extremely simple, honestly. Because we want the static object to be true, and then the game object to be set to false. Well, this is the game object right here. Untrigger other, that's set correctly, and that is set correctly. So, is what we need to do is we actually need to look at one more thing in here. Let me think. This is set to trigger. So that's set correctly. And you can even look at these, and yeah, those are all set this exact same. So, because the only trigger that we had was the front wheel. So I believe it was this one. So yeah, this one was set as a trigger. The one that's inactive was set as a trigger, that's why. Okay, that's my bad. So let's go ahead and turn this one into a trigger. Oh, actually I think I just found the... No, because this one doesn't have a... Okay, it is a box collider, but... Yeah. Meh. So, okay, both of these do not need a rigid body, but they do need... Let me see. And so you could set them up like that too, but I'm not doing that. I am just trying to figure out how to properly set them up, and so I don't think a box collider is the issue. We can give that a try real quick. Let me go ahead and remove this component, add component. We'll go ahead and type in box collider right here. Let's go ahead and set this as a trigger. The next thing we'll want to do is come back to here. Okay, so yeah, see, that's set correctly. But let's go ahead and add a rigid body to this real fast. I'm going to change the mass to 1200, so this way if the player touches it, it won't change anything. So we have that set. Let's go ahead and... I'm also going to do this... no, I'm not. I'm going to leave this alone. Let me go ahead and hit pause on it real quick, and then I'll hit play. The reason why I'm doing this, because this way the entire game will load everything, and then whenever I click on pause again, it will simulate it. Okay, so we're still getting an issue with that. Sure. Let me go to here, make sure I spelt that correctly. That is spelt correctly. That is really odd. So let's just do it the way that they have it set. And the only difference is instead of calling this one snap, I'm going to call it bridge snap. So we'll say other dot component dot bridge snap. And we'll do it like that. Let's make sure does not equal null. So the reason why we're getting this is because it doesn't know what bridge snap is. So you're going to get this error, and that's completely fine. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to create a C# script called bridge snap. And this bridge snap will be I'm trying to think what it's called. It'll be added on to this little guy. Oh, I still have errors. What errors? Okie dokie. You just comment this out for now. Pop the bridge snap on here. In fact, something I'm going to do, let me go ahead and go to... Basically, I clicked on rename so I can hold down Control and press C. I want to make sure that this is actually named correctly, so this way I don't have any unexpected issues. Also, I don't know fully how they have this entire scene set up, and that's kind of hurt me a little bit. So now that we have that added on, we should be able to access the component, and nope, we still cannot. But we have the snap component that we can access, I think. Okay, so I am missing... Wow. Okay, I just found my problem. Stay in school, kids. So now if I hit play, we should just see this thing straight up snap into place, because gravity is going to make it fall on here. Alright, so if I unpause it, it still does not snap. So whatever issue I'm having, it's actually something very, very simple. Let me go ahead and go back here to the tire, because the object snapping we have is taking place of what we have. In fact, let's go ahead and verify this real quick. So I have this, and where is that script? There it is. And I have this. I'm like, essentially, you could literally just copy this entire thing over like so, and then just change this to I snapped the bridge in place. Any day now. Oh, wrong thing. Because the rest of this doesn't have anything that's like too spectacular. So if this doesn't work, then it's actually going to be inside the inspector on one of our game objects, and we'll have to verify all of those real quickly. But that should be pretty easy to do. So if we unpause it, and it still does not snap, so what we'll do is we'll start with the spare tire, and this will represent the bridge right here. So we should just have a snap script in it and the grab null object in it. In this case, it's going to be bridge snap. Well, now it's going to be regular snap. So that can actually have a lot to do with it. But it just needs a rigid body, a mesh collider, a snap, and the grab null object. So let's go and click on this. Yeah, so we don't have snap attached to this, which we can change it back to bridge snap. In fact, let's go ahead and do that real quick, just so we know. Bridge, Control S, minimize. So I'm going to turn off the snap object, and this way we can kind of test to see if this is colliding with it. I don't think that would be the issue, because if we were to open up, let's go ahead and edit script. This is literally all that's inside the snap script. It's just a script for it to read to know that there is something there. So that's not really all that important. Alright. In fact, we can actually change these around. Well, actually, no, we can't, because we'd have to change it in here. But we'll go ahead and verify it to make sure that that's not the problem real quick. which I'm 90% sure it's not. It's probably something really simple that I'm forgetting to do. But basically, if we start this and it snaps into place, then we know that it's something I screwed up, which is more than likely the case. So that's what I thought. It was more than likely the case. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I'll just change these once it loads. So we'll switch these, unpause it. Okay, it doesn't snap in. So it's more than likely something else I screw up inside one of the inspectors. So we'll keep bridge snap on. Let's go back into this script real fast. We'll change this back to bridge snap. We'll save it. And now we get to look inside of these other objects that we have created. So this is the bridge trigger, and this is the object that is highlighted right now. We can verify with this one. So it should have a box collider with it. Let me make sure that, because we should have a tire trigger. Where is the tire trigger? Let me just frame in on this real quick. Click on the tire trigger right here. So this should just have object snapping and is trigger, which in this case we have bridge snapping, which works as the exact same. And so if we click on this, it should just be bridge snapping and it's a box collider, which will work the exact same because we're just basically looking at the trigger to it. And then next, let's go back to looking at this. So the game object that we're calling is the object that's not selected, and it's going to be the same thing with itself. So if we click down here, let's make sure that we have... Oh, well, that makes sense. Wow, I don't think I could have screwed that one up any more than what I did. So we'll click on Bridge Object, click on Trigger. There we go. So now we'll click on this. We'll verify that's set to Bridge Snap, and it is. It's going to work now. I feel like an idiot. And it snaps right into place. So for the object, I'm actually going to remove the rigid body. I thought about keeping it on there, but meh, why? I'm going to select both of these. I'm actually going to move these down where they're right about here. And we'll move this back. I'm actually going to extend this out. I'll extend that out like so. So then I'll click on this, and I'll expand this window out. So now you get to see the whole thing in action, and we also get to verify our work. In fact, that's also why the tag was not working, more than likely. So if we go to IND to experiments, let me grab a tire here. We'll verify that this is not, and it's not, so that's good. Let's come over here, grab this. No! Couldn't have screwed that up anymore. So let me pause this. Which one was that? There it is. You know, this thing actually went way further than I thought it would. Wow, this thing went like super far. Okay, you know, it probably would have been just a lot quicker to restart the game. But I like doing things a hard way. Let me make sure I'm lined up. Okay, good. Now I know where it's going to fall. Come back in here. Okay, yeah, it's going so fast that it just, it basically just kept going. Okay, I'm going to have to restart it. That sucks. Sorry about the slow tutorial today, guys. Weather's kind of kicking my butt. So we know the tire doesn't mess with it at all. And we know that this bridge does what we want it to do, for the most part. You can also change that around. You're going to have issues like that every now and then. But that snaps in. We can jump on it. No, we cannot jump, because I had that set as a trigger. So I'll fix that here in just a second. And literally, oh crap, where'd it go? There it is. And boom, it's fixed. So, what I was telling you earlier, so we have bridge trigger and the other game object. Let's see. Go ahead and come up here, because I'm pretty sure this is it. If we set these as triggers, yeah, those are the ones I need. So we'll set those as triggers. We'll come over here, rigid body. Let's go ahead and change the mass of this to 1200. And we'll come over here. I'm going to just zoom in on this. I am actually going to take this and... No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it alone. I want to hurry up and finish up this tutorial just so you can see it is indeed working. I was going to change that up and make it where it had different collisions, but I don't think it's really necessary. As long as you get the idea on what to do and how to set everything up, I think that's the more important thing. Then you can go and start fine-tuning everything afterwards. So, there we go. That's a lot better. Snap that into place. And now you can see that it's working. The reason why I set those tags, you could just simply change this to, yeah, right here. You could simply change this to other dot gameObject.tag equals bridge. Save it. Come back in here, and the tag should work. The reason why they didn't work earlier, because I actually had it where the object that was supposed to be snapped, it was basically saying, oh, okay, I need to enable the trigger and just leave the other as is. And yeah, I had them completely backwards. So it's definitely helpful to double check your work, but now I should just be able to grab this and snap in place. And you just saw it snap into place without a problem. That's because I had those tagged as bridge. So yeah, that's basically going to do it for this tutorial. If you have any more questions, just send me a message and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Until then, I'll talk to y'all next time.